Hello, so hi, if you're new to my channel then my name is Becca and yeah, hello, I'm Becca. I don't know if this video is going to be uncut or edited yet, so I guess you'll see when you watch it. But I didn't, oh right, okay. Let's start that sentence again. You can tell I'm nervous, right? I wanted to make this video for a while because this is something that I feel the need to talk about. I feel like it's so important nowadays to talk about these sort of things and to kind of like educate each other and get everyone else's perspectives and that sort of thing. I just feel like it's something that I've wanted to make for myself as well, so I can look back on this, kind of like look at my progress and that sort of thing. This video is done for that reason, and you can take what you want from it, take what you don't want from it. I don't know, it's totally up to you. I wanted to do a video about my mental health journey and just my mental health in general, because I feel bad saying a big part of my life, but it's something that like affects me pretty much every single day, and if someone's gone through the same sort of thing as me, you'd probably understand that sort of thing. I'm just gonna start from like where it started happening. Just want to also put out there that if you don't want to watch this sort of video, then feel free not to. You can click off this video. It's fine if you struggle with anxiety, depression, OCD, any other mental illness, and you don't want to watch this, then that is absolutely fine. I will not be offended. I'm going to try to make this video as positive as possible though, but if you feel like overwhelmed or you feel triggered by anything, then please feel free to click off this video and don't watch it. So basically it first started really bad when I was about 14, 15, and I was always like kind of on edge and I felt a little bit anxious in social situations, but I didn't really think anything of it because I know a lot of people feel anxious in social situations, and obviously there's a difference between feeling anxious and having anxiety. You know, I didn't really think anything of it. I struggled a lot with friends in high school, and I'm just basically going through what kind of triggered it and that sort of thing. When I went to CBT therapy at the start of last year, oh my god, it was last year now, it was a year ago I started CBT therapy. When I started, we kind of got to the bottom of like, right, this is probably what's triggered my anxiety as a whole. I had a group of friends that were not good for me, and you know, to put it bluntly, being 14 years old and being told by your best friends that they would be happy if you died is something that's hard to forget as a 14-year-old. Suddenly you think, well, my friends, the people who I trust the most, are saying this about me, so what kind of worth does that serve for me? So, you know, I spent months being confused by that, I guess. I was very like taken back. I was always someone that loved making friends and loved having friends, but those friends were obviously very toxic to me. I think that's what started it all really. And then fast forward a couple of years, I got to about, it was like 15, 16, and I remember I'd finished high school. So I was 15 and I was literally going to turn 16 at the end of August. And I remember that it was probably one of the worst times of my life because I was constantly sad. I look back on it and I was constantly upset. I was constantly emotionally beating myself up, and I was like telling myself I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, my friends don't like me, everyone hates me, no one's gonna end up like falling in love with me. Obviously I was 16 and you know, I'd never had a boyfriend at this point, and I beat myself up about that. Whereas now I'm like I embrace being single, but I mean at 16 it was like rather quite hard because all my friends had had boyfriends and I was kind of like, well, what's wrong with me? And it kind of stemmed back to being 14. It would be like, well, clearly nobody likes me, and it got progressively a lot worse. I ended up going to college. So in the UK you go to college when you're 16 until you're 18 years old, unless you have a job or an apprenticeship, but I stayed on at college and did A-levels. I went to college knowing no one basically, which was a big thing for me because I was socially anxious as well as having generalized anxiety. Obviously I didn't know that at the time, but now it kind of like all clicks in and makes sense. And I went to college on my own. I made some amazing friends that I'm still friends with now. I had my friends from high school at this point. Yeah, I made friends that I'm still friends with now and that I genuinely value as people, and they genuinely value me. Same time, there was always at the back of my mind, well, what if they don't want to be my friends? Well, what if they actually hate me? Well, what if this is all a joke? And it got to the point where I used to cry in the middle of college. It sounds so stupid, like it genuinely does. I felt so overwhelmed all the time, and I felt so stressed and so on edge all the time, and you know, I got to the point where I was pushing my friends away without meaning to. I thought, well, they don't want to talk to me, they don't want to interact with me, and I would shut them off. I wouldn't text them back, and to me now I feel like such a shitty person for doing that to them, but at the time it was kind of like how I thought, I don't want to cry. It was kind of like how I thought, well, that's how I'm gonna separate myself from it, and they are better off without me, and they probably hate me anyway. No, now that's not the case, because I mean, they still put up with me, so shout out. But oh, let me just get comfy. Yeah, so it was when my best friend Georgia actually turned to me once in college, and she was like, you know what, she was like, it's not healthy this, because I was having constant panic attacks as well, but I never the thing is, the thing that gets me the most now is knowing that I didn't have a clue what was going on then, and I thought that everyone hated me, no one wanting to be my friend, everyone secretly having a joke on me, not wanting to be around me, and you know, not really being loved by anyone. I genuinely thought that that was normal and that everyone had those thoughts. And it was only until Georgia turned to me and she was like, it's not normal. She was like, you need to go and see someone. So that was when like my first like round of sort of counselling happened. I went to go and see a college counsellor, and to put it bluntly, I hated counselling because I hated sitting there and having some complete stranger who I've never talked to before. I kind of hated sitting there and talking to her and being like, I feel like everyone hates me, because it genuinely made me feel like I was going mad. I wasn't going mad. To me, they were completely normal thoughts. To me, that was what I thought was genuinely true. The problem is I had a problem distinguishing between what's a real thought and what's not a real thought, and the line was completely blurred. There was just like no in between whatsoever. Did a little bit of counselling. To be honest, it didn't help whatsoever. I would still go out with my friends that would live in my area, because I went to college a little bit out of my area and I had friends like in my area now, and I remember pretty much every single time I went out with them I just felt so awful. Like I just kept wanting to go home, and as much as I wanted to go out and socialise with my friends, I felt like I physically or emotionally couldn't. I felt very, what's the word, when you feel like so, not disorientated, I can't think of the word, but I felt like dysfunctional, that sort of thing. And I used to like, I wouldn't be able to wait to go home. I used to go to the toilet, and I used to have constant panic attacks. I used to have to, I remember a few times I used to wander off on my own, and I used to be like, don't follow me because I don't want anyone around me. And when I'm having a panic attack, I like to be left on my own, because I don't like people to see that side of me, and I don't, people have done before and it's not nice. I don't like them worrying or me seem, the thing is, I feel like it's me being dramatic. I'm quite a dramatic person, but that wasn't, that was me completely being like, no, I don't want you to see that. I just kind of want to sort this out on my own and sort my head out, and that was how I used to do it. And then I ended up getting with my ex-boyfriend, and it was still like, it was bad. It was probably as bad as it was when like I was in the middle of college. I felt like there was nothing that was getting better, and I kind of sat there and I was like, well, what's gonna happen now? I feel like this so much, then how do I get better? How do I fix this? It really put me so much on a downer. Being with someone, I'm not good when it comes to being with someone, because I always think that, you know, once again, a little bit like friends, like they're better off without me and that I don't deserve them and that sort of thing. And you know, it was constant, it was all the time, it was toxic, it was very, very unhealthy. And then we ended up splitting up, and I ended up going through a period where I was like, right, it's me. I was like, that's it, it's me. I've got to look after myself first and foremost, because that's what I'd been told for the past year and a half, was that I needed to stop worrying about, you know, other people, and I needed to concentrate on myself, because I put a lot of time and effort into other people and into making sure that everyone else is okay, and that my friends are okay, and the people I love the most are okay around me, without actually looking at myself and thinking, whoa, you've got to take a step back. I ended up going through, when I look back on it now, I think it was very fake. I don't think it was genuine. I think I was trying to tell myself that I was happy, and I really wasn't. I think I hoped to be. I thought that if I told myself that I was happy, and I told myself that, you know, I was okay and that I wasn't having panic attacks, that it wouldn't happen, but it did. And it was like I kept putting bandages over it, and more bandages and more bandages, until it all just kind of like, the sore just kind of came out, and everything kind of collapsed on me at once. And then I got to the point of being like, right, I've got to stop beating around the bush now, and I have to go and see my doctor. And I hate the doctors, and I hate going to the doctors, and like I mentioned before, I hate going to see a complete stranger and tell them how I feel, because I genuinely sound like an absolute psychopath. I went to go and see my doctor, and this was about a year ago. Or was I a year ago? 18. I just turned 18, and I went to go and see my doctor, and I came up to her and I was like, I'm not coping, because constantly I wasn't sleeping. I'm really bad, I don't eat either. I wasn't really eating. I didn't know what to do. I kind of said to my doctor, look, it's up to you. I was like, I don't know what to do. Asking you what to do, asking you for advice. And to be honest, I have a shit doctor. She kind of like dismissed anything, and she was like, you know what, hormones, it's part of growing up and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, I'm 18 years old. I know the difference between being a hormonal woman and having so many toxic thoughts that I physically could not cope. So she said, right, if you want some help, you're gonna have to refer yourself to this cognitive behavioural therapy. And I got to the point of, you know what, I'm gonna have to do this, because I'm gonna have to look after myself. My doctor can't tell me how I'm feeling, because I know exactly what I'm feeling. You know, it's only you who knows if something's good or something's bad, or, you know. I was on the waiting list for 7 to 8 months, I think. Yeah, I rang them in September of 2016, and I got to cognitive behavioural therapy in like February 2017, so the waiting list was super long. But what I found with CBT was that it was kind of eye-opening, because she gave me coping strategies on how to handle a panic attack in public, which I was having constantly before I went to work, because I started a new job, and I would constantly, before I went into work, I would have a panic attack. And she gave me coping strategies for that. She gave me coping strategies for feeling like people hate me, for friends, for how I feel. And it was then that I realised, right, I'm gonna have to flush out all the negativity and everything that's making me feel like utter crap, put it bluntly. I'm gonna have to look after myself, and that was what I learned. That was the most fundamental part of CBT, is learning to look after myself and, you know, to understand those around me. And I used to, good tip, I used to make notes of a thought that I'd have. So say, this friend hates me, and then I'd have a box that said evidence and a conclusion. And every single time I would get to the evidence box and I'd be like, there's no evidence for that. There's no evidence that they hate me. Because constantly my head was saying, well, what if they do hate me? And then I kind of got to the point of my friends, and I now have the best set of friends around me who constantly support me and bring me up and make me feel a lot better about myself. Kind of like, I don't know, I have taken since about May to now to kind of put everything into perspective, and I can sit here and say that I am genuinely happy and that it's not a front that I'm putting on anymore. I'm not going to sit here and say that there's days where I don't feel like utter crap and I don't feel like not getting out of bed. There's days where I don't want to go to work because I feel like I'm not good enough for my job, or I feel like I'm not good enough for those around me, or I'm not a good enough friend, or I'm not good enough at this, or I'm not worthy enough, or everyone does actually hate me because I'm obnoxious or I'm annoying or I have too much of this personality or I'm too much of that. And you know, it's kind of like taking those days and then spinning them into a positive and making things a whole lot better than they were. And just, I don't know, I think that's the thing with mental health, is that it will never go away, and I know that it'll never go away, and I will always think of these things. They will always come back and they will always start, like, I always think of it as them like pecking at me, and it will be like pecking at my head, but it's what I do with them thoughts then that pushes out the conclusion, I guess. And I mean, I'm proud of myself for sitting here filming this video and having a YouTube channel. I feel like that is such like a big thing for me, because once in my life I feel like I'm happy putting myself out and putting my personality out on the internet and being like, hey, this is me. And you know, at the same time, if you don't like me, that's fine. If you do like me, that's great. Suddenly, like, people hate me is like still there, but it's not as prominent, and all these feelings aren't as prominent. I feel like, to give an analogy, I feel like it was up here all the time and it was constant, and now I feel like it's like level down here. I don't know if this is making any sense. I don't know if this video has made any sense to anyone. I'm not gonna sit here and say the whole cliche, oh, it gets better. It does get better. You keep working. I just feel like I needed to make this video for all of you. If any of you are struggling and you don't know what to do, I would say to see your doctor, because not all doctors are as shitty as mine, trust me. Yeah, just keep going, keep chugging is like the phrase that I always use. Like, keep chugging. Just know that down days are going to happen as well. To be honest, today I had quite like a down day, and I had a day where I felt like utter crap. I was in work and I just wanted to go home, and I felt like everyone around me in work was kind of like, I felt like they all didn't want to be around me, and that, you know, I wasn't good enough at my job. I felt like I really wanted to quit my job because I felt like I wasn't good enough. I've come home tonight and I've had some time to myself, and I was like, you know what? I was like, I am good enough. I was like, I work my little butt off. I run up and down them stairs. I try so hard in retail. Life isn't so bad. I have a lot going for me, and I think I don't see that enough. I don't see my potential enough, and I feel like everyone else does. But that's something I struggle with as well, is not seeing my own potential, because a lot of my anxiety stems from having no self-confidence. And like I said, like I've said all this video, a lot of it is due to, I've got to put myself first and I've got to look after myself. So looking after yourself is key. And yeah, I hope you're doing all good. I hope you did like this video. I'm sorry it was a long one, but yeah, thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching me, for sticking here for my journey mentally, and through YouTube and through anything else that I might be doing. Who knows? Who knows where I'll be this time next year. But yeah, thank you, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Bye.